Are we ready?
We're just bros, just talking. We're gonna yeet this one out of the park.
We're chilling. Let's go.
Uh,
Nice later.
are we
3, 2,
ready?
1.
Welcome back to another episode of Friday Files. Arlen, don't look at
We're
me.
doing just fine today, by the way, and we're glad you're with us. Josh, our almighty host, and he's gonna be kicking this off while Darren and I hang out by his side today. Thanks for having us.
We're happy to have you guys. Thank you for giving us some of your time and letting some of the older students take care of your students, and hopefully you guys students are out there, doing okay and taking care of themselves.
They're a pretty independent bunch, so they're wrapping up a few algebra problems for the day, and hey, they have Benson. All is well.
All is well.
Yeah.
And I hope my students are working, but you know, depends how well Arlen's students keep after them. But yeah,
If
good
you
to
hear
be
any
here, Josh. Thank you.
If you hear any clawing on the door in the meantime, just ignore that. I'm sure they're getting along just fine. What do you have for us, Josh?
Well, today, normally during the beginning, we always kick off with I lead and just some inspiration, just get some people thinking and give them insight into what we've been talking about during I lead. And since we have you on today and you got us started into I lead and everything, we thought maybe you could just give us a little vision and insight behind I lead.
So what is iLead? Is that what you're looking for?
That's what we're looking for.
Most of us after school enter the real world, and I think uh, there's a lot of opinions out there. Things I learned in high school didn't really prepare me for the real world. One of the things in the first number of years teaching high school that I see lacking in the workplace and the so-called real world is just a lack of leadership, especially among men in today's generation. Leadership is lacking quite a bit. So why isn't leadership something we're teaching students and helping students develop in high school? And I think there was a part of me that always pushed for that and tried to develop that in students. Um, but iLead is a curriculum that I came across several years ago that actually equips and sets us up as teachers to equip students for leadership. Um, there's a faulty idea that leadership is some sort of position, something you achieve, and it comes with this level of rights, and this is me, I'm your leader, like I'm the boss. Leadership is a lot more than that, and I think most of us can understand leadership is influence. It's not about position. And if you're talking about influence, well, anyone can be a leader. The person in the leadership position may not be the leader in the room. The person who carries the most
You're
influence.
just influenced. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so if it's influence, then your attitude, your outlook on life, your character, your self-discipline, um, what you live by and what you hold yourself to, that has much more to do with leadership. And so the students do this curriculum. They work through a value for 2 weeks, one character value, and they do it in small group setting, roundtable discussions, and each group has a leader that's assigned to lead the group. And there are assignments, there are feedback times, there's assessments each week, and it's overall, I think, been a really good program.
Mm-hmm.
You're the one who's been in it for the last 2 years, so what do you have to say about it?
Well, I really enjoyed it, mainly because being an upper grader and being one of the older students, I get lots of opportunities to lead out every day, whether it's just it's just kind of on the spot, or if Arlen gave us an assignment to lead out on. I think there's been a lot of growth in all of us um, with this curriculum.
So give us an example. What's the lesson from last week?
Our lesson from last week was on self-image and just kind of what how our actions influence our self-image. Our self-image isn't really what other people think of us; it's what we think of us and how we see ourselves.
Is self-image that important?
Well, I think I tend too much to focus on myself and think about what people think of me and stuff like that. And it's been helpful for me to think about you know, how does God see me is maybe the best way to say it. So what does he think of me? So if I have a low self-image, you know, do I go to his word and say what he says about me and build me up? Or if I have a too high self-image, God's word talks about we're just dust, we're just dirt too. So I think it speaks to both ends of the spectrum. But it is good to be aware of yourself for sure.
What I noticed in the lesson on self-image, I think they laid out 10 steps for growing a healthy self-image and how to build that. 9 of those steps were about me, changing me. And a big emphasis there was to stop comparing myself with others. So avoiding comparison, I think, is a very powerful thing because we're constantly comparing ourselves. But at the end of those 10 steps, the final thing, and I think the pinnacle it was to stop focusing on myself and to start serving. And it's all about turning my focus back on the other person. Healthy self-image is important as long as it leads me to serving others better. Leadership is about others. It's not about me.
Yeah, I like that emphasis on others. I mean, why do we care about ourselves? Ultimately, it's so we can serve others. It's not just about making ourselves into somebody. It's that we can actually be servants and help others, especially as we're leaders. We're called to serve. And yeah. I like
So
it.
how much should I focus on my self-image? For me, I'd say as much as it takes for me to be healthy enough to serve others at my best.
You guys have both been teaching for a good number of years. And kind of moving on into our next segment, how long have you guys been teaching? And kind of like, what have you done? Have you guys been teaching for like a long time, or was there like teaching, you take a break for a couple years, you teach again? How did that all kind of play out for you, Darren?
Well, I'm the rookie here. This is my 3rd year teaching, and so I guess I'm a junior. If I teach one more year, I'm a senior, then I can graduate. I can be
There
done.
you go. You at least have a diploma, maybe.
This is only my 3rd year, and I was just thinking, you know, I got white hair from 3 years of teaching. If I had taught as many years as Arlen taught, I mean, I don't know what I'd look like. I don't know how he ages so well with his
I got
vast
my
experience.
first white hair the first year I taught. Really did.
Really?
So I don't know if I have like one for every year that I've taught.
That's probably all you have.
Okay.
I got a lot more than that. This is my 3rd year teaching. I taught back in 2010 is the first year I taught at school. And the back history on that is, how did I come to teach school? I actually taught here at Bethany Fellowship School. And we have to go back 1 year to 2009. And in 2009, I was at IGO, and I met this really cool girl there who was from a weird place called Kokomo, Indiana. I had no idea where that place was. I hardly knew where Indiana was. Besides, you know, the Steelers came out here once in a while and whooped up, and then they'd go home again. Other than that, I didn't know much about Indiana. So there's this girl from Kokomo, and she had a cousin there too from Kokomo, but I didn't really pay much attention to him. Was that you, Arlen? Yeah, you were there.
I don't remember.
You don't remember me either. So fast forward 3 months, after IGO, this is in spring of 2010, I started dating Jeannie, and she's from Kokomo. So I'm thinking, you know, I'm from Pennsylvania, she's from Kokomo. You know, we'll start out slow here. We'll see each other a couple of times a month, all that. Well, within about a month or two, I got a call from her uncle, and he's like, do you want to come teach school in Kokomo? Jeannie hooked me up through Keith to come teach school here fall of 2010. So in 2010, 2011, I taught with Susan Beechler and Krissa Graber. And then I got married that spring, and then I taught another year, 2011, 2012, and taught with Susan again and taught with Jeannie, my wife. So it was interesting dynamics. I was focused on dating. I was focused on getting married and being married. I don't know if I remember teaching much, but just kidding.
Great way to kick off.
I really enjoyed teaching those two years. And then after that 2012 year, we felt called to go back to Pennsylvania and help my family business and stuff like that. So we were going 12 years. And then I got another call here about a year ago asking if I wanted to come teach. So I don't know if it took 12 years for the memory of my first teaching to wear off and all the students to leave, so they actually want to bring me back or not. But 12 years later, they bring me back to the same school, and there's like new faces completely across the board from first grade all the way up to the seniors. No one's the same, none of the same teachers. So I'm
New curriculum.
New curriculum. I'm the new guy in system here. So this is my third year.
Awesome, and Darren's doing great, by the way, acclimating, and it's a new environment too. A lot's changed in 10 years, 12 years.
I looked at the yearbook in 2012. There was like 23 students.
Oh wow! And
So
today
this
we're
is
at
a new system here.
23 students to 63 students today. A little different atmosphere.
It's a little different for sure.
For sure. For sure.
You guys seeing the school go from 23 students to 63 students. I've seen a lot of change here at Bethany over the years. So basically, since 2006, I've been a teacher. 5 of those years was spent overseas as an English teacher and a student there. So that's been 13 years teaching here since 2006. Does that answer your question?
13 years
That
at Bethany? Or
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that like 13 consistent years? Like,
There was 3 and then 5 years.
oh, okay.
So he's
Okay.
got,
So
he's
there
got
were-
a whole decade of experience
And-
on top of me.
And then 10 years. Darren, why don't you hit us with your highlights
Sure.
of your 3-year career?
3-year career highlights, honestly, is relationships. And the first 2 years, I got to teach with Susan Beechler, and that was a lot of fun. I remember after school, it was just 3 teachers, small school. Multiple times we got like Chinese food, and like we would like sit down after school and eat Chinese food and just talk about the school day and that kind of stuff. That was great. A highlight was seeing students mature. Like I really enjoyed watching, especially those first 2 years I taught, just seeing so much growth in those students. And then I had the privilege 2 years after I graduated to come give a commencement address or whatever to some of my students that graduated. And it was really fun to see like those students grow up so much because there was a lot of maturity that happened over the years. You see a lot of growth usually. Couple other highlights, definitely camping trips. They did camping trips way back then, and those were good times. And they still do camping trips now, and I really like the informal time with the students and teachers. And we also took a trip to Connor Prairie, which I don't know if you guys know where that is, but we got to kind of pretend to be like runaway slaves in an old timey village, and it was a good time. Took the students there, I think in 2011, something like that. So those couple highlights.
So what about you, Arlen? What are some of your highlights in the years you've been teaching?
Well, kind of like Darren said, when you can see growth happen in the life of a student, when you see someone grab a concept, whether you're talking a first grader, getting word pronunciation, learning to sound out words. I remember as a high school student doing teacher apprenticeship and helping first graders. Those are often awesome highlights. Whether it's there in algebra class, working with difficult problems, or someone who's struggled with something for a while, when they begin to get it and you see success happen in their life. Outside of that, just seeing personal growth in students when you walk with a student from 6th grade through graduation, watch their character grow and develop. Some of the things we do together outside of school, those are always highlights. Field trips, like Darren said, campouts, things when you can let the pressures of the academics go and just interact in a more informal level.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys for sharing and being on the podcast
Absolutely.
today and giving us your time. We really appreciate it. And now we will move into our interview segment where Vaughn will interview another one of the teachers. So over to you, Vaughn.
And welcome back with another, not a student interview today, a teacher interview, teacher episode. So today we're here with Miss Rose, and today we will be playing some most likely to. But first, let's get to know Miss Rose. So, what is your role here as a teacher at Bethany?
I think my official title is an aide
Okay.
and a music teacher. And I just kind of fill in for Mr. Darren and Mr. Arlen wherever is needed.
All right. Now, how long have you been teaching?
I have no idea.
Oh, okay.
A very long time.
Very long time.
Most of my adult life, at least in some capacity. So,
All right. All right. Now, on to the game. We're going to be playing most likely to. And if you don't know how that is, I'm going to just ask a question. And then Rose, this is between Mr. Arlen and Mr. Darren. So I say a question, and she will hold up one of these beautiful signs to signify who would be most likely to do this. So, first question: who is most likely to bring food to a meeting? I'll give you 10 seconds for each question, so we can keep moving along. All right. If you have comments about it, you can comment, but not
Most likely donuts.
donuts. Okay. All right. Who is who's more athletic? It's getting deep early.
I thought about I should have come to Tuesday night basketball games to check this out.
Ah, okay.
I'm going to say at this point, I'm going to give it to Mr. Darren.
All right, all right. So, who's most likely to go pro in pickleball? Pro in pickleball.
I have no idea. I'm going to pick Mr. Arlen because he's the oldest.
Okay. All right. Who is most likely to keep their classroom the neatest?
That would go to Mr. Darren.
Okay. All right. Who is most likely to fail a fifth grade test right now? If they would take a fifth grade test, who's most likely to fail it?
Which subject?
What if it's a test just with
Just-
all the subjects in it?
Who's smarter than a fifth grader? Oh, this is throwing them under the bus. I'm going to go with Mr. Darren.
All right, all right. Next question. This is the first. We're gonna throw in a would you rather question. So, would you rather teach Mr. Darren or Mr. Arlen as a child?
I'm pretty sure I would have rather taught Mr. Darren as a child.
Okay. All right. Now, who is most likely to win 1v1 in a basketball game?
To win in a basketball game?
Yes. If they would go head to head.
Oh, man. I should have come Tuesday night to check things out.
Man.
I have no idea. Mr. Darren, he's taller.
Okay. Man. All right. Who's most likely to make a honor roll as a student?
I would say probably Mr. Arlen.
Okay. All right.
They
Now-
probably would have both, actually.
Okay. Now, who's most likely to go bald? You're looking at their hairlines.
Who has the most receding hair? Oh,
Who's most likely just impulsively just shave their hair?
oh well,
It'd probably be Arlen.
yes.
Who's most likely to go bald first?
We'll go with Mr. Arlen.
okay. Now,
Sorry.
as a student, who's most likely to play hooky?
So when they were if they would be
Yes.
students, who would have been the most likely to play hooky? Mr. Arlen.
Mr. Arlen. Okay. Now, last question. Who's your favorite teacher?
You promised me you wouldn't do this.
That's perfect. That's perfect. Okay.
I claim the fifth.
Fifth Amendment? Is that what that means?
I have the right
like
to
I did.
remain silent, I
Oh,
think is what.
Okay. Sounds right. All right.
They're both great to work with.
Back to you guys.
Did she really say that?
I'm sorry, guys.
That one
Maybe this wasn't such a good idea.
Know
Oh,
what she really thinks.
now we know what she really thinks.
I don't know. Was having a teacher version of the podcast a good idea?
Well, comment down below if you guys think we should do this again next year, which I won't be here next year because I'm graduating. So if we do this again
On to
next
better
year,
things.
on to better things. So thank you guys for being here.
You're welcome.